Hi, this is Susan Duclos. This is Stefan Stanford from Before It's News. We're joined by publisher of the Trends Journal, Mr. Gerald Celente, and you can find his site at trendsjournal.com. Welcome, Mr. Celente, and thank you for being here with us.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I go to your site quite frequently. It's wonderful what you're doing there.
Thank you very much. Stefan?
Thank you, Mr. Celente. It's an honor for Suzanne and I to have the opportunity to speak with you today. You've been forecasting trends now for 34 years with amazing accuracy. It's quite easy for most of us to see now that our country has reached the point of no return. The Ukrainian conflict has the potential to bring down the US dollar and the world economy along with it. Meanwhile, the police state is being built up around all across our country. It looks like at any time now, Barack Obama may begin using his many executive orders to institute martial law, economic martial law, and a further crackdown on our liberties in this once free society. Do you see any way that we as a country can avoid what you have been warning us about for many years now?
Yes, I really do. The vacuum, to me, has never been larger and more apparent. Look at the latest polls that just came out, and you see where President Obama's approval rating is at all-time lows. What people forget is that at his inauguration, they booed President Bush off the stage. So what we have here are basically two people. We had Bush and now Obama, which the public now has very low regard. I just saw Obama give his talk in Brussels the other day, and it was reminded me of being in high school and listening to a substitute teacher that nobody paid any attention to. That's how empty it was. He's not even pulling his lines off the teleprompter without any meaning behind it. I say this because when the curtain is open and you can see there's no one behind it, that's the best time to institute a real change in direction from where we are. To me, again, when you look at Bush's popularity rating in the toilet when he left, and Obama's going into it, of course we still have a couple of more years of him, it could be filled with something else. I say this because both political parties, to me, are nothing more than mafia. And all we do every 4 years is elect a new head of one of the two crime families. And I don't say this, to be sarcastic. I say it in fact. Both the Democrats and the Republicans are mass murderers and grand thieves. They steal our money and give it to their buddies for whatever, under any pretense they want, be it too big to fail or just stealing in the name of taxes. And they're mass murderers. If I was the first time you ever knew me and I'm on your show, and I said to you, Susan, I'm really good at killing people, you'd say, my God, we've got a maniac over there.
Exactly.
And that's what our president says, Barack Obama. So when I say mass murderers, and of course the millions that are dead in Iraq, and there's countless tens of thousands that have been slaughtered in Afghanistan, I believe now is the best time in my entire life to see something replace the two criminal gangs.
Okay, following up on that, you said in the winter 2014 Trends Journal that a promising future can be obtained if we, the people, reestablish the true essence of the Constitution and restore the principle upon which the U.S. was founded. Well, how would that happen? Because to paraphrase you, we don't have a choice between two great men in elections anymore, but we have to choose between the lesser of two evils. How do you propose that we reestablish the true essence of the Constitution?
Well, one of the things that I'm going to be doing, and we're going to be announcing it in the Spring Trends Journal, which will be out in the middle of April, is we're going to launch an Occupy Peace movement. One of the criticisms of the Occupy movement was that there was no focus. And of course, I was not a critic of it. I'm a full supporter of it. What the Occupy movement did do very successfully was it made the difference between the 99% and the 1%, to the extent where the major business news even talks about it. So they had a lot of success. Going back to your question, Susan, and putting it into perspective about the Constitution and the OccupyPeace.us movement, and then we'll be putting up a website very shortly when we come out with the Trends Journal, could be summed up in three words that I believe will rally all people in the United States who believe in the Constitution, the principles upon which this nation was founded, and the beliefs of our founding fathers. No foreign entanglements. Three words. And building on these three words, we change the entire course of where the nation is and where it's going. Even with the propaganda coming out against Russia, most Americans are not fearful of Russia. And they have taken a stand against entanglement in Ukraine. And the reason I believe they're doing that is because they're watching our country fall apart in front of them. Whether it's decaying Detroit, rotting Trenton, Camden, Oakland, East St. Louis, name your place. Jobs stink, pay's lousy, debt skyrocketing. What is it, over $1 trillion for students getting out of college? Taking them on average 20 years to pay off. So, by no foreign entanglements, that changes the entire equation. And this is how. When you look at the numbers that have been added up with the Iraq and Afghan war, it's coming out to about $6 trillion. Then you take another $6 trillion that, according to Reuters, hardly a left-wing news organization, says that the Pentagon can't find since roughly 2000. When I wrote Trend Tracking back in 1989, the United States has spent $13 trillion on the Cold War. Now you add into that, remember we have 6 already from the 2 wars, 6 that they can't find, 12, plus roughly $1 trillion a year we're spending in direct military, in fighting wars, and for all of the cybersecurity industrial complex that we're funding. If we cut back that, bring all the troops home, what are troops doing in Italy? The Italians should be ashamed of themselves, as should the Germans and the Japanese, and the 700 other roughly nations where America has the other 700 places where America has bases throughout the world. So, by no foreign entanglements, we can redirect how the money is spent in this nation. And we, the people, could then have a say in where the dough is going. And to me, that will be the beginning of building a foundation to build alternative parties to do away with the monopoly of the two-party system.
Thank you. It makes sense, and I can't wait until you start that website. We will happily help you get it out there.
Outstanding. I couldn't agree with you more. To take it in a different direction, our publisher, Chris Kitsey, was wondering about your opinion on the IRS announcing that Bitcoin digital currency will be treated as property, not currency?
I believe it is a negative for Bitcoin, and I'll tell you why I think so. And again, I'm up in the air about this. I keep making this very clear. It just something doesn't ring right with it to me. And I felt this way, by the way, with the .com bubble. And I would watch this stuff, over and over on TV when the whole .com boom was happening. And I'm saying, it doesn't make sense. I can't, it's not real. And of course, a lot of it wasn't. The danger by the IRS making this ruling is, let's suppose you buy Bitcoins now at what, $650. And let's say the price skyrockets and you purchase something with that. Now you have to pay taxes on your gains, the difference of what you paid for it and what you bought it for. So if you bought it and let's say Bitcoin was at, $2,000, that's a gain that you have to report. So I think it's going to hurt Bitcoin in that aspect. On the other part of the positive element is that it makes it legitimate because the government is talking about it.
Good point.
I also believe that if it becomes any kind of a serious threat, they'll bring it down like that. Just like what happened with the bank in Japan over there. And people are still, they can't get their money out of it. So you have a couple of scandals like this happening. It could really be a negative for Bitcoin.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Again, please have somebody let us know when that website is up. We're dying to see it and help you with it in any way we can.
Is there anything else that you can think of?
Also,
go ahead.
Well, yeah, there is. Well, first of all, going back to the Occupy piece, we're here up here in colonial Kingston, which has a foundation in itself with the Revolutionary War. The most historic four corners in the U.S. are right here. The only place on each corner where there's a pre-Revolutionary War stone building. And not far from me is the Senate House, where they made New York the capital of New York State, the first capital. And of course, the Constitution was passed around here to be signed. And the English burnt the place down in 1777. I'm saying this because this is where a lot of the roots of the first American Revolution had its beginning. And we want to launch the second one in really honoring thy father, the founding fathers, and the people that gave their lives. This country was, I'm very, familiar with the atrocities committed by this country. But there were a lot of great things that made us truly the envy of the world. And that's gone now. And I want to see a restoration. I'm tired of these sociopaths and psychopaths destroying this once great country. So in launching it from here, it really has its roots. As I said, this colonial Kingston. And we could bring this country back. We could have a restoration, a renaissance, bringing the best of the past into the future. And as I said before, the vacuum has never been greater. When you look at the public's disgust for Congress and the president and the policies, the vacuum is waiting to be filled. And it's up to us, each of us, to do what we can to fill it with something that replaces the horrors that they have created. So, I really want to emphasize that this is an everyone's movement. And if enough of us say no foreign entanglements, it really becomes clear. This I want to read. is from Jimmy Carter being just on March 25th in an interview on Al Jazeera. And they're asking him about, should we send military aid to Ukraine? And he said, we need to be very forceful now. He goes on to say, I don't think there has ever been a possibility that Putin wouldn't take over Crimea. This was a foregone conclusion, and nothing that the United States and Europe or anyone could have done would have prevented that. But Russia has always considered Crimea to be a part of it, and most of the Crimean people, as you probably know, agreed with that. They want to be part of Russia. But I think that needs to be stopped at this point. I don't think we need to equivocate about the prohibition against Putin moving military forces into other parts of eastern Ukraine. And here it goes. I had the same challenge to face when I was president. You remember Jimmy Carter, that nice little peanut farmer. During Christmas week of 1979, the Soviets moved a massive number of troops into Afghanistan, and they occupied Afghanistan. And I stopped them from going further. Oh, he did he? What, did he go over there himself? Well, not quite. So I did everything I could. I withdrew my ambassador from Moscow. I declared a grain embargo against them. I agreed with Congress and the American Olympic Committee not going to the Summer Olympics. And I began to give weapons, now catch the language, to freedom fighters in Afghanistan secretly. Freedom fighters in Afghanistan secretly. Who the hell are these people think they are to do this behind our back, steal our money, and you know who these lovely freedom fighters are? Well, they changed their name a little bit. They used to be called Mujahideen, but we'll call them Al-Qaeda now. And here's where it even gets more rotten, more disgusting, and more despicable. One sociopath and psychopath after another is leading our nation to destruction. In his own slimy little weaselly words, he says, and we used all Russian-made weapons so they cannot accuse us of doing it. Isn't that wonderful? That's why I want to have an Occupy Peace movement. Who the hell do these people think they are? That they're better than us. The Slimer, a little piece of crap. And here it is, comes out how many years later, and it doesn't even make the news. Hey, they can't find that airplane. Turn on CNN. That's the only crap you've been hearing now for 3 weeks while this is going on.
Well, that's going to make the news now.
Yeah, this article is worth for everyone to really read in Al Jazeera. It's disgusting. Again, one after another. So, yeah, listen, you know what my vote is for 2016?
Oh.
I said let's put Charles Manson in the White House. Let's put a real psychopath in there rather than the ones that pretend to be normal and are closet psychopaths like this freak and the other ones you got there. I'm really good at killing people, Obama.
Yeah.
Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda. You look at Hillary Clinton, after they find out that, what's his name, Muammar Gaddafi was killed, on camera she said, we came, we saw, he died. I mean, how's that for a sick one?
Yeah.
You know, one after another. And look at, remember Madeleine Albright on CNBC on 60 Minutes being interviewed when Bill Clinton, another slimer, with the sanctions on Iraq, over 500,000 Iraqi children dead because they couldn't get medical supplies and equipment in there. And Leslie Stahl asks Madeleine Albright, is the price of 500,000 children worth it? And she says, yes. So I say, enough of the closet psychopaths. Let's put a real one in charge. Charles Manson for 2016.
Now that's a statement for you. We will make sure that we link that Al Jazeera article in there so everybody can read what he said.
And the Occupy peace movement sounds absolutely wonderful. No foreign entanglements. We're going to push this, Gerald. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you guys for all you do. You do a wonderful job.
Thank you.
All the best.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.